How many different versions of Superman can you name? Now, I don't mean how many different actors. I mean how many different iterations of Superman, like Bizarro Superman or Cyborg Superman. Can you name 20? That's what we are doing today. This is part 4 of our Superman timeline series. We've already covered his evolution in the comics, his biggest adversary, and his legacy on screen. But today we're looking at something different. The 20 most distinct versions of Superman ever created. These are full rewrites of who Superman has been throughout the years. And there are a lot of them. But today we're focusing on 20. The 20 that I feel are the most significant. And some of them might just surprise you. Let's get into it. Did you know that the original Superman couldn't fly? The Golden Age Superman from 1938 first appeared in Action Comics #1. The original version of Superman was a gritty, justice-driven hero who focused on corrupt landlords and street-level injustice. He could leap tall buildings, but he couldn't fly, and was far more aggressive than later portrayals. There was a Superman version who had the best plot armor. He essentially had a power for every single plot hole. We're talking about Silver Age Superman from the 1950s to the 1970s, who first appeared in Superman Volume 1 and Action Comics. During this era, Superman gained vast powers and became more of a cosmic protector than a man of the people. The stories leaned heavily into science fiction and introduced many iconic and outlandish elements of Superman lore. Do you remember this line from Seinfeld?
So he's Bizarro Jerry.
Bizarro Jerry?
Yeah.
They're talking about Bizarro from 1958, who first appeared in Superboy number 68. Bizarro is a twisted clone of Superman who speaks and thinks in opposites. Despite his destructive behavior, he's often portrayed as a tragic figure who doesn't understand why he fails to be a hero. Which version of Superman was evil, addicted to kryptonite, and ran with a gang of supervillains? We're talking about Ultraman from 1964, whom we see in Justice League of America number 29. Ultraman is Superman's evil counterpart from Earth 3, where villains rule. He gains power from kryptonite and stands for domination and control, in stark contrast to Superman's altruism. After the often silly Silver Age of Superman, the Man of Steel started to get more grounded, and Clark Kent mattered more, which brought us this version. We're talking about Bronze Age Superman from 1970s to about 1985, who we see in Superman and Action Comics. This transitional period pulled Superman slightly back from the overpowered heights of the Silver Age. The focus shifted toward character development, personal relationships, and grounded challenges. This version of Superman tried to trick everyone that he was actually the Man of Steel. That is, until the metal parts started showing. We're talking about Cyborg Superman from 1993, whom we see in Adventures of Superman number 500. After Superman's death, Hank Henshaw posed as a resurrected Superman. He was soon revealed to be a cybernetic villain with a personal vendetta against Earth and Superman himself. This version of Superman would have fit perfectly in the Terminator universe. Why? Because he is Kryptonian AI. We're talking about Eradicator from 1993, whom we see in Reign of the Superman, which was a storyline during the Death of Superman saga. A Kryptonian AI programmed to preserve Krypton's legacy, the Eradicator temporarily assumed Superman's identity after his death. Its rigid beliefs about Kryptonian superiority made it a dangerous protector. This is the Superman who walked away because the world stopped believing in heroes. We're talking about Kingdom Come Superman from 1996, whom we read about in Kingdom Come #1. After tragedy and disillusionment with violent younger heroes, this older Superman retreats from the world. He eventually returns to restore hope, showing the resilience of his ideals even in a dark future. Which Superman turned into pure energy, wore a glowing suit, and got split into two? We're talking about Electric Blue Red Superman from 1997, whom we read about in Superman Volume 2, number 123. In this experimental arc, Superman transforms into a being of pure energy, requiring a blue suit to contain his form. Later, he splits into two Supermen, one red, one blue, with different personalities, one impulsive, one analytical. This Superman outlived everyone, absorbed solar energy for centuries, and came back with cosmic wisdom and gold armor. We're talking about Superman Prime 1 million from 1998, whom we read about in DC 1 million number 4. Having lived in the sun for 15,000 years, Superman Prime returns as a nearly omnipotent cosmic being. He is the ultimate mythologized form of the character, immortal, enlightened, and transcendent. He is Superman's final evolution. Quick pause. I'm curious, which version of Superman do you connect with the most? The hopeful original, the conflicted injustice Superman, or maybe someone totally unexpected? Drop your pick in the comments. I want to see which Superman resonates most with you. Now back to the Man of Steel. Which Superman crash landed in the Soviet Union instead of Kansas?
Я вернулся домой.
We're talking about Red Sun Superman from 2003, whom we read about in Superman Red Sun number 1. This alternate Superman crash landed in the Soviet Union and was raised under Stalin. He becomes a totalitarian leader who still seeks peace, just through entirely different means. He became a global authoritarian and explored ideology from a flipped perspective. This version of Superman killed the Joker and then took over the world. Do you know which version did that? We're talking about Injustice Superman from 2013, whom we read about in Injustice Gods Among Us number 1. When he was manipulated into killing Lois Lane, Superman turns authoritarian and imposes global peace through fear. His fall is one of the most chilling examples of what happens when power loses its conscience. Can you name the Superman who got his powers from a government lab in China?
Yeah, what's a Superman? Yeah, what's a Superman? Yeah, what's a Superman? Yeah, Nixon Lothar.
We're talking about Kenan Kong from 2016, whom we read about in New Superman number 1. Kenan is a brash teenager from China who receives Superman's powers through government experimentation. His journey from egotist to hero offers a refreshing, cross-cultural take on the Superman archetype. Is this where I get to talk about Maui, the Hawaiian Superman? There's a song about him. The Hawaiian Superman. This version of Superman was younger, edgier, and not exactly everyone's favorite. We're talking about New 52 Superman from 2011, whom we read about in Justice League Volume 2, number 1. This rebooted younger version of Superman was angrier and more alienated. Clad in Kryptonian armor, he was a more solitary figure who lacked the warmth and emotional connections of earlier versions. Can you name the Superman who fused 2 timelines and made the fans breathe a sigh of relief? We're talking about Rebirth Superman from 2016, whom we read about in Superman Rebirth number 1. Merging pre-Flashpoint Superman with New 52 elements, this version restored many traditional values and relationships. It marked a return to legacy, optimism, and emotional depth. Which Superman had to save the world and help his son with math homework? We're talking about Superdad Superman from 2016 to present, whom we read about in Superman Volume 4, The Rebirth Era. This version emphasizes Clark's role as a father, raising his superpowered son, John Kent. His relationship with John adds depth and humanizes the character in ways rarely explored before. Which version of Batman, yes, Batman, turned himself into a doomsday monster to kill Superman? We're talking about the Devastator from 2017, whom we read about in Dark Knights, the Devastator number 1.
Devastator!
From a dark universe, Bruce Wayne becomes a doomsday hybrid to stop a corrupted Superman. The result is a horrifying version of Batman fused with raw destructive power. But because he has Superman-like abilities, he's still considered a version of Superman. Can you name the version of Superman who gets infected and then becomes completely unstoppable? We're talking about Deceased Superman from 2019, whom we read about in Deceased number 1. In a world overtaken by the anti-life virus, Superman becomes infected and turns into an undead threat, a zombie. His fall signals the true end of hope in this apocalyptic timeline. Which Superman is fighting for climate change, refugee rights, and a better tomorrow? We're talking about John Kent as Superman from 2021, whom we read about in Superman Son of Kal-El number 1. With Clark off-planet, John Kent steps into his father's shoes. Unlike previous Supermen, John openly speaks out on climate change, political corruption, and social inequality. At one point, even protesting alongside refugees and confronting world leaders with his actions. Can you name the version of Superman who fought as a slave to free an entire world? We're talking about Warworld Superman from 2021, whom we read about in Action Comics number 1030. Superman leaves Earth to liberate Warworld, operating with limited powers in brutal conditions. This arc presents him as a mythic liberator, embodying hope through sheer resilience. And that wraps up our look at the 20 most distinct versions of Superman. From his golden age beginning, Superman has never stopped adapting. And that's what has kept him relevant for nearly a century. This also brings our Superman timeline series to a close. Next week, we are going to be talking about Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. From their radioactive origins in the 60s to their most recent reinventions. We'll discuss every major era of this iconic team. Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this series, make sure to stick around. Things are about to get cosmic. We'll see you next time.